How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Nailed It. Episode number 2, officially, of this new journey. Today is July 11th, 2025. And I'm very excited today. You cannot beat early morning in the summer. It is perfect. I wake up early to do this. Open up all the windows in the house. It's so nice. Sit outside, enjoy it, have a cup of coffee. That was my first sip of coffee this morning. It hit the spot. That was so good. Oh, man. Today, what we got on the docket for you is transfer portal quarterbacks that you probably forgot about. Yeah, I saw this on YouTube, and they put every single popular quarterback. Carson Beck. Nobody forgot he transferred to Miami. Maybe you did. Maybe it's good that he did that. Mateer from Washington State to Oklahoma. All the big name guys, right? Well, I keep up with college football. I remember those guys. So if you are more of a fan that checks in starting right now and you've kind of forgot, okay, go watch that video. That's fine. I'm going to be talking more about, I have a whole list of quarterbacks that transferred that I forgot about. And maybe you're a diehard college football fan and you didn't forget any of them. Well, we're still going to run through college football. Maybe I should call the list college football transfer quarterbacks that I forgot about. College football transfer quarterbacks that Caleb forgot about. There we go. Then after that, we will talk about Browns quarterbacks and that situation there. The local journalism here and the students at the Collegian going after Fresno State. And then I got an article on pre-diabetic kids in the United States, which is really sad, but we got to touch on it. But first, we start the show the right way. We get on the right track every morning. If you don't open up your Bible every morning, please do read it. It's awesome. And I share with you basically what I'm reading. So we're going to open up to the book of Joshua. We're going Old Testament. We're sticking with Old Testament. Last time we were in Job. We stick with Joshua. Chapter 21, verse 43 through 45. So the Lord gave to Israel all the land he had sworn to give their ancestors, and they took possession of it and settled there. And the Lord gave them rest on every side, just as he had solemnly promised their ancestors. None of their enemies could stand against them, for the Lord helped them conquer all their enemies. Not a single one of all the good promises the Lord had given to the family of Israel was left unfulfilled. Everything he had spoken came true. Don't be surprised when the enemy fights against what the Lord has promised you. I was talking about this with my wife yesterday. Everybody depicts the devil as this red creature with horns and a long tail and a trident, pitchfork, flames. The devil is the complete opposite of that. He is the most beautiful angel that will come tempting you with a 99% truth, which makes that a lie, by the way. He does not come in the way that we depict him. The devil's going to come for us men as a beautiful woman, for us married men as a beautiful woman, or whatever tempts you. As maybe it's alcohol. Could be a lot of fun. And women, I don't know. A lustful book, a good-looking man. Yeah. But here's the thing. Even though the Israelites were promised, the promised land, is in the name, and they were given the promised land, they still had to fight for it. Some of the things God promises us, we're going to have to fight for. So be ready for that. You know, what's great about promise from the Lord is that the enemy loses. And he knows he's going to lose. But he's not going to go down without a fight. In the end, the enemy loses. One thing that I think is very powerful and we forget to tell people is actually about the power of the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit has so much more power than the enemy. The enemy can't touch you. He can't touch you. Now, we have to be careful though with these things because sometimes you can take this as prosperity gospel, right? Oh, well, the Lord promised me lots of money, lots of success in my career. You know what the Lord promises? The Lord promises to be with you, right? And you know what he promises? He promises a light yoke. Put on his yoke and and he will take on your burdens, and his yoke is light. You're going to be able to carry it. That's what he promises. He promises peace and joy. He promises that you will have self-control. Promises you will be kind and gentle. These are the fruits that he promises you. Right? So really, it's not you, but it's the Holy Spirit. But these are things that he promises us, right? Then we get to choose what we do with those promises. But it's going to take a fight. And you and the Holy Spirit will win in the end. I just want to remind you that Jesus is always with you. You could be going through a really tough time. I was just a couple months ago. I was going through a really tough time. And I quit reading the Bible. I was talking to God all the time, but I wasn't getting in his word. And one of my pastors says this: you want to hear God speak to you? Read the Bible out loud. And he's 100% right. I got into the word. Gosh dang it. You're right, Lord. Forgive me. I had to make a 180, get back to it. Here we are doing this. My life at home is awesome. My work in the office is awesome. And if you asked me 2 weeks ago, I would not have believed you that I would be here right now. And that I was happy about being in the office, getting the work I'm doing done. And I'm loving it right now. So it's awesome. I believe in miracles. All right, let's talk about transfer quarterbacks. In particular, the ones that aren't really being talked about, that ones that I forgot about, maybe you forgot about as well. Don't worry, you'll remember once I bring these up. I'm going to share my screen, and there's going to be photos of these. All right, first things first. This guy transferred from a national championship team. Let's show this. Boom. Alex Orji. Excuse me. I don't know if it's I think it's allergies. I don't know if I'm getting sick. I hope not. I don't think so. But I'm congested right now. I apologize. If I go on a sneezing tangent where I get attacked and I sneeze 3 or 4 times in a row, I'm sorry about that and all my sniffling. All right, Alex Orji from Michigan. He transfers to UNLV. So Fresno State fans, my local people, we might have to watch out for him again because we saw him last year in their first season. He actually started 3 games for Michigan. In those 3 games, he threw for 150 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. 1 touchdown was against Fresno State, and he also had 5 carries for 32 yards against Fresno State. So Fresno State fans, we know this guy. Gosh, dang it, I feel a sneeze coming. No. All right. The second guy, Also at UNLV, Anthony Calandria, transferred from Virginia. He was at Virginia the last 2 seasons. He started at Virginia the last 2 seasons. They struggled last year. But him and Alex Orji, both very athletic quarterbacks that can move, dual threat guys. And I should also mention that UNLV also has a senior that's been there for a while, Cameron Friel, former Mountain West Freshman of the Year. He's a senior now. Those 3 guys are all competing for the starting job at UNLV. A lot of new pieces at UNLV, new coaching. I think it's Dan Mullen. So an experienced coach, a successful coach with athletic quarterbacks. See the way he's going. I'm very curious. This may be one of the more entertaining quarterback competitions in the whole country. Okay, so that's Alex Orji and Anthony Calandria transferring to UNLV. Next on the list is, I'm going to move a little bit quicker here because there's a bunch, and I got other stuff to talk about as well. Caden Salter. Wow, that picture is small. Caden Salter from Liberty to Colorado, taking Shedeur Sanders' spot. Now, I will say Colorado does have a freshman commit. I believe, was he a 5-star commit? Julian Lewis. He could push Salter. You know, and all these positions, I'm going to mention a bunch of guys. I'm not saying they're all going to be starters, but some of them are names like a blast from the past. You know, some guys that are 24 years old that you're going to be surprised are still in college. But and that's kind of why I put them on this list. But Caden Salter, very successful at Liberty, now transfers to Colorado to play for Dion. Spent the last 4 years at Liberty. So very successful. Excited to see what he does there. You guys know who this guy is? This is Bo Pribula. And Pribula. Forgive me, I'm going to butcher names. He's transferring from Penn State to Missouri. He's not going to get time behind Drew Aller at Penn State. So he left. I believe he's a sophomore. We did see him last year. He threw 35 passes, completed 74% of them, 275 yards, 5 touchdowns, interception. He also ran for 242 yards on the ground with 4 touchdowns. So another athletic quarterback heading to Mizzou. You guys will know this next one. And I'm not spending a lot of time, especially on Bo Pribula. We don't know too much about him. How about this former UNLV quarterback, Matthew Sluka? You probably remember him because he transferred after 3 weeks at UNLV. He was undefeated. He is now transferring to James Madison. I don't know if you remember the whole situation, but he says he was promised a certain amount of money by UNLV, like $100,000 amount of money. And he didn't get it. So he entered the transfer portal after going undefeated the first 3 weeks. Granted, it worked out for UNLV for the most part, but you know, there's always the what if factor. We'll see how successful Matthew Sluka can be at JMU. You guys remember who this is? This is Connor Weigman. He's transferring from Texas A&M to Houston. He spent the last 3 years at A&M. He started 13 games at A&M. He was a freshman All-American. We'll see what he could do down at going to Houston. This guy may be more popular Miller Moss from USC to Louisville. He had the great bowl game. People were high on him. But with so many quarterbacks at USC, we all saw it. They all transferred to USC, wanted to get some training under Lincoln Riley. Now they're all leaving again. What do they really want? Money, money, money. All right. This is Steve Angeli. You may have seen him in the college football playoffs last year, semifinals against Penn State. He got some time. He got some time in the national championship against Ohio State. Transferring from Notre Dame to Syracuse. By the way, really like what Syracuse has got going on. Some good additions through the transfer portal and on the recruiting trail from the high school. They're spraying. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Probably not, but I can. Pretty loud. By the way, tangent. My wife said, don't wear white. It drains out your skin. Well, I don't think this is helping. I'm extremely white. There's supposed to be some Croatian olive skin in my blood. Didn't get any of it. None of it. Just turned pink. And I think this just, I decided to wear black instead of white. I had a white hat, white shirt last time. Nope. I think my wife just, maybe she's wrong and we're doing fine. But you know what she added? We need to paint the wall behind us. I think that's what she really wants. But I tend to listen to my wife, though. She's half Filipino, half Syrian. Beautiful skin tone. Like, gorgeous. So I take it to heart. And she's my wife, so I take it to heart what she says. Anyways, all right, let's move on. Let's talk college. Continue talking college quarterbacks. Remember this guy? My Fresno State fans? Devin Dampier, quarterback at New Mexico, who is now transferring to Utah. I think I really like Devin. There's a lot of people that are high on Utah. Some people are picking them to win the Big 12. The Big 12 isn't doing preseason polls. Remember that? I think I really like that. We'll talk about that later in a different episode. And I'm going to have my preseason polls because no one said I couldn't release them. So we'll do that. But Devin Dampier at Utah is sneaky. They could be pretty good. We'll see, though. He's a good player. He's very athletic. But they didn't win a whole lot of games to be super impressive and for Devin to bring a whole lot of eyes and ears to Utah. That makes sense, right? He's sneaky because they weren't winning a bunch of games at Utah. That's why. But he is very athletic and could do well. This is a blast from the past. Zach Calzada. He was at Auburn. He was at Texas A&M. Hi, dog. He was at Incarnate Word last year, trying to get that Cam Ward magic going on. Now he's transferring to Kentucky. Zach Calzada is 24 years old. I don't know if you remember, but he beat Bama when he was at Texas A&M back in 2021. So, he can play. When he's on, he can play. We'll see. We'll see what Kentucky gets. This guy I liked at Toledo, DeQuan Finn. He was at Baylor last year. So he was at Toledo a couple years ago, transferred to Baylor, didn't get playing time. Now he's transferring to Miami of Ohio. Back to the MAC. Action, baby. Should have never left. And here's what I will say. And this reminds me of this talking point that I have with lots of people. Is, yeah, you could transfer for the money. And depending on what you do with it, it could be life-changing. Right? Especially if it's $1 million deal. Sure. You invest it. You don't have a whole lot of expenses as a college student right now. Invest it wisely. It can lead to good finances in the future. But if your goal is the NFL, and you're a starter, if you have a good relationship with your coach and your OC and your strength and conditioning coach, I think what's best for you is to stay. Because no matter where you are, if you're a baller, they know, and they will draft you. Why not dominate at where you're at, where you've been for the past 3 years? Be a baller there rather than transfer to Texas A&M or Baylor or Miami. And okay, maybe your brand exposure is going to be a little bit higher because you're going to be on TV. But you may not ball out like you think you are. You may not even get the starting job. They may have a 5-star behind you where you struggle one game. Now the 5-star goes in. And now what do people remember? They remember the bad game where you can get a bad game in the MAC and still come back the next week as the starter and win. And people forget. Right? Ashton Janty stuck around, was a baller in the Mountain West. Derek Carr, baller in the Mountain West. Yeah, I think there's a benefit to staying. Okay, let's get back on track here. This guy is Ashton Daniels, transferred from Stanford to Auburn. Now, you're probably thinking, why is this guy on here? They got another transfer quarterback, Jackson Arnold from Oklahoma, right? But remember, this is quarterbacks that we may have forgotten about. And I will say this, Ashton Daniels, athletic quarterback, smart quarterback. If he could figure it out, if Jackson Arnold has a rough go first couple games, I believe Auburn plays a decently tough game their first week. Then they play Ball State their second week and another easier team their third week, their third game. If Jackson Arnold doesn't have a ton of success, I could see Ashton Daniels getting a shot. And don't be surprised if Ashton Daniels is starting at the end of the season for Auburn. I know Auburn fans don't like that, but maybe he comes in week 2 or 3 and takes over. Oh, gosh. Okay. All right, Fresno State fans. Remember this guy? Mikey Keene. You tried to forget. I didn't let you. Mikey Keene transferred to Michigan, where he's going to be probably back up to Underwood, top quarterback recruit in the country. I had to do it to you. How about this guy, Fresno State? Jalen Henderson, transferred from Fresno State to Texas A&M, and now he's going to West Virginia. Athletic guy. A lot of people were high on him here. We'll see what happens. And this guy, Logan Fife, transferred from Fresno State to Montana. Played in Montana last year. Now he's going to New Mexico State. I did show all the former Fresno State guys for you. This is a blast from the past. Drew Pine, former quarterback at Notre Dame, former quarterback at Missouri. Now he has now transferred to Bowling Green. You guys know who this is? This is Jake Garcia. Played at East Carolina last year. ECU Pirates. They had a very successful season last year when a lot of people thought they wouldn't. They fired their head coach. Interim comes in. Had great success. And then Jake Garcia transfers to Michigan. So another loaded quarterback room with Underwood, Jake Garcia, and Mikey Keene. And then here's a former Michigan quarterback. Remember this name? Cade McNamara. Former Michigan, former Iowa. He now transfers to ETSU, East Tennessee State. Wow. How the mighty have fallen. There's another example. Starter at Michigan, transfers to Iowa, then transfers back down to ETSU. Wow. And last but not least, Chandler Morris, former North Texas, former TCU, former Oklahoma, is now transferring to his fourth team. He's taken Anthony Calandria's spot at Virginia. Okay, reminder, all these guys are not a guarantee to start for their team, but I just had to remind you, these are transfer portal quarterbacks that we probably forgot about. Okay, so that list one more time. I'm just going to read through it. Alex Orji, UNLV. Anthony Calandria, UNLV. Caden Salter to Colorado. Bo Pribula to Mizzou. Matthew Sluka to James Madison. Connor Wiegman to Houston. Miller Moss to Louisville. Steve Angeli to Syracuse. Devin Dampier, as I like to say, to Utah. Zach Calzada to Kentucky. DeQuan Finn to Miami of Ohio. Ashton Daniels to Auburn. Jalen Henderson to West Virginia. Mikey Keene to Michigan. Logan Fife to New Mexico State. Drew Pine to Bowling Green. Jake Garcia to Michigan. Cade McNamara to East Tennessee State. And Chandler Morris to Virginia. All those transfer quarterbacks. All right, since we're talking about quarterbacks, let's talk about the Cleveland Browns quarterback situation. My brother-in-law is an Ohio native, so I got to talk about the Browns. I have to keep up with Ohio football now. Buckeyes, Cincinnati, all those Ohio teams, and the Browns now. It's the same thing that's going on in Cleveland that has been for the past, I don't know, long as I've been alive, 30 years. When are the Cleveland Browns going to stick with a quarterback? They had a quarterback at Baker Mayfield, and they decided to get rid of him. Maybe Baker left. I don't remember that far back. But nothing changes. The Browns still have are going to have a different quarterback. Maybe Joe Flacco could still get the starting job, but the rumor is that Kenny Pickett is leading the way. I mean, he was a first-round draft pick. There is a new rule in college football that was created because of him. You can't fake slide and then keep running. But the Browns also have elite Super Bowl winning quarterback, Joe Flacco. They also drafted Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel. So 4 of them. Who's going to start? They say most likely Kenny Pickett. Talk to my brother-in-law, who is a diehard Browns fan. He wants Joe Flacco. He also wants Arch Manning. Says doesn't want Shedeur or Dylan Gabriel. He wants to pass on him. Let's start Joe Flacco. Let's go get Arch. Now, granted, it's not a guarantee that you're going to get Arch. But I kind of like his point. Also, Joe Flacco's had the most success, but I think they like the upside of Kenny Pickett. So what do? You start Kenny Pickett the first 2 or 3 weeks. It doesn't go well. You start Joe Flacco. He's going to get crushed. He's going to get injured because he's an old man. Look, I just turned 30 last month. Now I hit my shin on something now, and my entire leg hurts for the next 3 months. I drink 1 beer. I can't eat after it now. Like, that's what has happened to me since turning 30. So I can only imagine what happens when a 250-pound monster full of muscle, 2% body fat, runs full speed and hits you as someone who's older than 30. Joe Flacco will eventually break, and then you're going to have Shedeur or Dylan. Maybe you go there, maybe you go back to Kenny. And then you're in the same position. Maybe you still get Arch, but I don't know. Who knows? But I think I'm on board with starting Joe Flacco, letting the guys watch an experienced quarterback work as a one, see what he does. If it doesn't go well, okay, now you can make the Kenny Pickett change. And Shador and Dylan can battle it out. And they can watch and experience this and learn from everything and then see where they're at. What do you guys think about the Browns quarterback situation? What would you do? Are they keeping Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco for a trade piece? What are you going to get? What could you possibly get? I don't know. You got to, and if you want, you can't keep Shador and Dylan, right? So are you going to play them to show off their film to trade? Are you keeping them around for draft assets to trade up in a draft? I don't know. No one knows what the Browns will do. No one knows what the Browns are ever doing. See what happens. I think it's going to be fun, though. We talk about college quarterback competitions and entertaining ones, UNLV. Also, the Browns, Cleveland Browns in the NFL. Need some coffee. All right. I want to pull up an article on X that the local people in Fresno may have heard about if you're on X, probably, because it blew up. If you're not on X, I'll tell you what it's about. There was an opinion piece written. English is difficult. There's an opinion article written in the Collegian, the Fresno State Collegian. And you know, the Collegian, huge fans of Fresno State athletics. But it's titled this. It's total clickbait, and they got me. Shakira coming to Valley Children's Stadium could have been one of the greatest things to happen to Fresno State. But unfortunately, Fresno State athletics has failed. What a failure. So I believe it was one of the editors. It was by the editorial board. I shouldn't give them too much credit, but they got me. Here you go. Article was about how it was annoying that Classy sent out, our athletic director Classy sent out an email to the students. By the way, it wasn't just the students. I got it. To buy tickets for Shakira. It was encouraging people to get the word out for Shakira. A great email. I thought it was great. And I only got one. Great email. Very encouraging. And I had people call me about the Shakira thinking that I could get them the hookup for tickets. I don't have any hookups. I have zero hookups. I can only tell you where to go to get them. I won't be going though, but I think this is a very cool idea. The first ever concert in former Bulldog Stadium. It's a great way to raise money for athletics. We should be doing this all the time, right? And I'm happy that Fresno State and Shakira teamed up to do this. However, the student goes on to complain about ticket prices being over $100. The timing being in the middle of August, because it's going to be hot. And I agree with that. I do agree with that. And then just how annoying Classy is in saying that, no, they once again can't sell tickets because he's begging students to buy tickets. And you already raised prices on us, student fees on us. By the way, they have the lowest student fees in the state of California. So that's so sad that you are doing that. Well, Classy put an email. He quote tweeted it, and I thought he did a great job. And I'll get to it in a sec. But I think, once again, this is another example of the student body, the majority of the student body at Fresno State. Not all. You may be different. Actually, the fact that you're here is you're different. But the majority of the student body at Fresno State are terrible athletic supporters. Honestly. They show up for football games. They don't know how to cheer. They know how to get drunk and have a good time. That's all it is. It's a social event. But you will not see the student section leading a jump around like Wisconsin, right? Singing songs like leading Mr. Brightside. You want to know why? Because they're trying to get some. They're playing hooky. That's what they're doing at Fresno State. Or they're trying to fight. They're not good athletic fans. And most of them, say a majority of them, are kids that commute from surrounding towns to school, right? They're driving 20 to 30 minutes to school every day or every other day. So they're not right down the road on campus, right? This is it used to be different, but now it's changed. And honestly, I think a big part of that is attention spans. They can't get into football anymore because it takes too long. Or they're not going to sit down and watch a game. So that's one part. Okay. So they're already not invested in athletics. They don't know how to be a good fan. I will say, if we want to change that, here's what we can do. And I think what the article should have been about. If you're going to complain about one thing, right, and not support them, let's talk about having the athletic department host something in the Save Mart Center where you invite all the students in, right? Or maybe somewhere smaller because they're not going to pack it out. But invite them all in, teach them the fight song, teach them the alma mater, teach them a bunch of team-specific chants, what to do, when to do it. They should do that, like a midnight rally sort of deal, right? That's what they should do. You want to write an article about the athletic department doing that. Put that together. Okay? Rather, we just complain about a concert in the middle of summer that I could tell you for a fact, if it was Morgan Wallen, every 20-year-old female college student would have paid the $500 to stand out in the hot sun to go watch. Right? So there's another thing is you could have written the article about who's coming to former Bulldog Stadium. We're just going to write it to complain about how the athletic department handled it when they've actually been doing a great job. And they're complaining about the amount of emails they're getting about it. I hope they get another one. Here's Garrett. Classy, RAD. Fresno State has an elite journalism school, and I fully support student journalism and student newspapers. Being nice. I respect opinion and free press, even from a nameless editorial board. Nice. That said, Live Nation is the best in the world, and sales are strong, and tickets are being sold every day. I know this to be true. This show's economic impact on the school, city, and region will be unmatched. The numbers will prove it. 100%. You bring people to the city, they're going to spend money. Right? They're going to go. This is my beef with the city of Fresno. I got beef with the city of Fresno on this. After football games, you should stay open. The Wendy's on the corner should not be the only place open. Right? Everything should be open and advertising that they're open after Fresno State football games. You know they're going to be open after the Shakira concert, and they're going to be advertising before and after. Come on by. As they should be. It brings dollars into the city. Right? People from LA and San Francisco may be coming to this concert. We want them to spend their money in Fresno. Okay. If the Collegian would rather speak to me in person than pull a quote from an email to the Red Wave, I'd gladly speak with them. The only way we get to where we're going is together. A unified Red Wave is a force to be reckoned with. Let's ride. You know what I appreciate about Classy is that he does this. You could say it's you could talk about the style that he does it in, or he's trying to encourage people a certain way. Of course, I agree. He should. It's his job. But I have not seen, in my lifetime, I have not seen a Fresno State AD do things like this, communicate with the Central Valley like this. And I've said this on the last show, is that he's going on each and every person's radio show and podcast, all of them. He's showed up on Beware of Bulldogs with me. He showed up he'll talk. I've gone to an event. He'll just talk. It's awesome. He's great. I love it. I need to be nice because maybe we get to a point where I want somebody to write for us, and I'll go to the Collegian. I will, because I want to support local and get local people to write. But we need to be smart about what we're writing about and make sure we're well informed. And I think this was the biggest problem with it, is that when you have college kids writing, they're not the most well informed. And granted, this was an opinion article, so I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt there. But it was a poor opinion. It was a poor opinion. Okay, let's go to NIL deals really quick. So the CSC, it's the College Sports Commission that is now in charge of all these NIL deals, released a statement yesterday saying, I'm just going to summarize it for you. They're saying that the old ways of collectives, they wrote about collectives and how they're paying kids. Old ways of collectives making payments to athletes without much proof of services rendered, is not going to cut it anymore. Okay, we talked about that. We touched on it last time. Remember with RevShare, they now have, if it's above $600, they're going to step in. They need to see the services rendered by the athlete. It's no longer I give to the collective writes a check to the player. That player is now paid to play. Right? I like what they're doing. It's over $600 now. If I give a kid $1,000 NIL deal, they now have to see it. They need to see what that student is doing for the local community. Okay, what's the business transaction? Okay, but it's going to be tricky. It's going to be very tricky. Let me see. Deals must demonstrate a legitimate commercial rationale, including evidence of using the student athlete's NIL, name, image, likeness to promote a good or service being offered to the public for profit, and compliance with industry standard NIL practices. There you go. The range of compensation is anchored in valuation principles to determine if a student athlete's third-party NIL compensation is commensurate with compensation paid to similarly situated individuals with comparable NIL value. I don't like that, right? Because the market tells you what you're valued at. And if you're in a poorer or richer market, then the value is going to be different. Okay, let's say you perform extremely well in Fresno. The market cap for you is different than if you are at USC or Georgia. Completely different. So I hope that that comes into play. The range of compensation is a deal level calculation that is intended to capture a student athlete's unique NIL value based upon multiple factors, hopefully the one I said being the main one, including but not limited to the deal's performance obligations. Okay, this could be a problem based off performance. Okay, you have a guy like Ashton Jeanty who performs extremely well in Boise. who outperforms other running backs in the SEC. And those SEC running backs, let's say at Texas A&M, they have a massive collective, or they sign a massive third-party NIL deal for big-time money. Ashton JT's not going to get that in Boise. So based off athletic performance, that's going to be tough. Social media reach is one. The local market, thank you. And the market reach of his or her institution and program. Thank you. Those are the most important. The range of compensation will also be informed by external benchmarks. They had to throw that in there. External benchmarks to cover everything. We'll see how it goes. This is brand new. NIL is changing daily, always. We'll see what happens. What else should we touch on real quick? Since we talked about NIL deals, I think jersey patches are coming down the pipe. LSU is doing it. I talk about jersey patches. I'm talking about a company that buys an ad spot like this. Boom, on my shirt. Not a sponsor. On their jersey, though. I think that is a given. It's going to happen. I know us purists, I can't even say us anymore. I was a purist until about 2 years ago. I don't want anything on the field. I don't want anything on the jerseys. Now that we're here, I want it, and you have to have it, especially at a lower institution. You have to sell space on the field. You have to sell multiple spots on your jersey. We're going to look like NASCARs soon enough. Anywhere you can throw a logo and charge people, you do it. You do it. We have Iowa State football players taking pay cuts with rev share, right? They just came out and said it. Coach came out and said it straight up. We have players taking pay cuts because of rev share, because we want to compete. This is the New England Patriot way of doing things. This is the Patrick Mahomes way. We're not going to take all the money because we want to be able to keep the best players and get good players so that we can win games. It's about winning games, right? For example, paying skill position players, Terry McLaurin or Bengals. We got the Hendrickson situation. They can't afford him because they're paying wide receivers, right? Skill positions outside of quarterbacks, if you pay them, it hurts the team. Unless you're great at drafting and you can keep them around on their rookie contract. But college, you don't draft, right? So kids are going to have to take pay cuts. Do not pay skill position players big time money outside of quarterbacks. I'm telling you, the teams that do that will have success. And then the last, just quick headline: Derek Carr wants to retire as a Raider. I think as he should. That's the way it should be. He is a Raider. Saints didn't treat him well. Raiders treated him well until they got a new coach. That coach ruined everything. They should have kept the interim Bisaccia. Kept him as a coach. In other news, local news for my Central Valley friends, the city of Fresno held a grand opening yesterday for a new pickleball court at the Rotary East Park. 8 pickleball courts, all with sports lighting. That's pretty nice. I was looking at pictures of it. It looks pretty nice. I am still yet to play pickleball. I have not played it. I think that's the one sport I've never played. It looks fun. I haven't played it yet. Probably won't be playing it during the summer. Well, maybe the nights, early mornings, maybe. We'll be doing that, but I'm a basketball guy. I gotta be shooting hoops, man. Twisting ankles, spraining my knees, and falling on my wrists. I'm excited for this. There needs to be a lot more of this in Fresno, we need to have nice parks. We need to have places for kids to play. If I show up on a Saturday morning to play basketball or Saturday night to play basketball somewhere, those parks should be nice and they should be full of kids, and they're not, because they're sitting indoors on their butts because they're on screens. If you're sitting down and watching me, do some push-ups right now. Do some squats. Do 20. Do 20 and 20. Go. That's great segue into the next article. It was research. There was research done by the CDC. You think what you will about the CDC, but they revealed that about 8.4 million U.S. teens were pre-diabetic in 2023, 2 years ago. Okay, so this screams we are not active at all. We need to be more active. We need to bring back the old physical education standards. Right? And they have changed even since I've been out of high school. And I've only been out of high school for 11 years now. But we had to run the mile under a certain amount of time, and it was state standards, or else you don't pass the class unless you had like a medical note or something. And then on top of that, being a part of the basketball team, we had to run even faster time. If we wanted to even play on the basketball team, we had to run, under 7 minutes, which was, for your boy, it was easy. No, come on. Nowadays, not going to happen. But back then, glory days. That's the first thing I think of. Kids are not being active. But number two, and I think it's just as important, is the diet, the American diet. Okay, I'll tell you something that I haven't told a lot of people. I am currently on the carnivore diet. Okay, we've done a lot of my wife and I done a lot of research into it. We've actually done it in the past, but then we went on vacation and we threw that out the window. We're back on it now. Carnivore diet, if done correctly, is very good for you. But here's the thing. Let's not eat sugar. Let's not eat the crap food. But you walk into a gas station. You grab something quick. You grab one of those Starbucks Frappuccinos. You grab a Red Bull, a Monster. You grab a bag of chips. That's all that's there, and it's cheap. And they also line the shelves of our grocery stores, and they're cheap. No wonder we're at 8.4 million U.S. teens were pre-diabetic in 2023. I'm curious to see how many of them were diagnosed as a diabetic. If they are right now, 2 years later. And there are a lot of people in my life that have diabetes or are pre-diabetic. And they're active. So I think it screams diet. Screams diet. And here, let me finish with the carnivore. I feel so good. I have a ton of energy. I'm not bloated. I'm not skinny, but I don't feel bloated. I still got a little chub on me. Working on it. We're going to lose it. But it's all about diet. So here's my encouragement to you guys, especially if you have kids. Throw away. This is what I did. Okay. My wife knows now, but I believe it was after Easter time. We got a bunch of Easter candy. My family that listens, they're not going to like this. Threw it all away. I went in I raided our fridge and our pantry. Threw it all away. If it had this added sugars and things like that, threw it away. Chips, gone. Ruffles, Doritos, gone. Went to Costco, bought a bunch of meat. My wife was not on board initially. It took her a while. But now she's on. Feels great. She has stuff that happens with her skin. Gone. My my energy levels are through the roof. It's awesome. I recommend it. And also, when we have social events, like we go over to people's houses, we still eat their food, but so uh, it's not 100% carnivore, but it's primarily on most weeks we are eating carnivore. And I feel great. If you offer me a white nectarine off the tree, though, it's going down the gullet. I'm eating it. You pick me, some fresh strawberries. I'm eating that. I'm eating it. But there's a lot to be said and there's a lot to be done about our diet and our lack of exercise. So who's going to step up and do it? Are we going to wait for government-owned entities to tell us? No, we should not. Us parents should be stepping up and saying, why are all of our kids pre-diabetic? Why are 8.5 million teens pre-diabetic? Why? The question why is a great question to ask. It leads to much more. So we need to see these things and ask why. And I think my two reasons are screens and diet. Let me know if you guys have any other solutions, or if I know people that have had success going vegetarian. I'm not against that. Should have started with that, huh? Because they're gonna think I'm a crazy carnivore person. And if you just want to eat meat, veggies, and vegetables, go and maybe like a little bit of rice, go for it. Whatever gets you healthy. I can tell you what's worked for me. And if you have questions, I can send you stuff. All right. I'm going to go get ready for work. Thank you. Oh, Monday, we are having a overhyped, underhyped segment every Monday. So send me things, put it in below in the chat or DM me. What is something that, like a topic, like could be black coffee. Is it currently overhyped or underhyped? You could probably throw the words overrated or underrated on there. But I like the hype, right? Is it hyped? Is it college football jerseys? Is it the game of basketball? Is it a story from the Bible? That'd be interesting. A verse. A movie. You name it. Let me know. We're going to talk about it on Monday. We're going to have a good time. Hey, have a wonderful weekend. God bless you and your family. Subscribe, follow, comment, all that stuff. You know what to do. You hear it on everything. Also, self plug. If you own a business and you have insurance, let me know. I can help out. I do small to medium size business insurance. So you need property, liability, workers' comp. We can do it. Market soft for workers' comp. Need to make a move. Let me know. All right. God bless everybody. Appreciate it.